Fans, fight fans. This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News. And like I promised you guys, I was going to go live for something that we need to discuss. Joseph Parker. Joseph Parker has done something, or in his test has revealed him testing positive for cocaine. I took a nap. Bobby Collins, what's up, brother? Counterpunch to you, and along with Tony Lyons. And man, the more I think about the test, the positive test, the more it just makes you think about what actually happened. You have a lot of times in boxing, you have something that has been posted according to whatever, like the tests, what they actually done, and then, all that. So I want to talk to Joseph Parker, man. For those that don't know, Joseph Parker has tested positive for cocaine. It's crazy. And it's not really the fact that it's a boxer that's testing positive for cocaine, because again, a lot of boxers, bro, have dibbed and dabbed and swam in this stuff. You know what I mean? And it's just, for Joseph though, a guy that's never failed a drug test, a guy that's never been even involved, to put Joseph Parker and banned substance in the same sentence is weird. That's just kind of like, okay, well, Joseph Parker? You know what I mean? I could understand if this was like Kubrat Pulev or somebody like that, or Mahmoud Char, or Tyson Fury. But Joseph Parker? That's crazy. Those in the gym have explaining to do. Yeah, I mean, and you have to look at Andy Lee, you have to look at everyone around Joseph Parker, and who was Joseph hanging around? Because according to Joseph, he was just flying from New Zealand to Ireland and just doing what he does, getting his workout on, going to sleep, getting up, time to repeat, doing the same grind, rise and grind, and he just seemed like I'm in the best shape of my life. And then you test positive for cocaine. Now, to do research for you guys that don't know much about coke, coke is not like weed. You know what I mean? Like, it's a totally different thing when you're talking about cocaine and marijuana. Marijuana is something you could smoke, and 2 weeks later, the shit's still in your system. You know what I mean? That's why I put the caption, is Joseph Parker secretly an addict? Because cocaine is nothing like that. It's nothing like that. Like, if you look up, okay, here's the deal. How long does cocaine stay in your system?
According to Priory, how long does cocaine stay in your body? After your last use, cocaine can remain detectable in your system for weeks. It will remain detectable to tests in your blood and salvia for up to 2 days, 48 hours, urine for up to 4 days, 96 hours, and hair follicles for up to 90 days.
Oh, okay. But they said weeks, that got me. But then it says it will remain detectable to test in your blood and saliva for up to 2 days. Now, urine up to 4 days and 96 hours, and then hair follicles up to 90 days. Well, that's everything. But they didn't take a hair test. They take blood and urine. They didn't take hair, man. Because, that, for one, a hair test is very expensive. Very expensive. You know what I mean? When you're dealing with hair, when you're dealing with hair, because I've taken hair tests, you know, because I worked at casinos before this and truck driving jobs and stuff like that, like the high end ones. And they have to have a certain amount of weight of hair to test, but it is hell of expensive. So no, it's they didn't take that for Vada. They took blood and they took urine. I have never heard them talk about hair. Didn't he just lose his father? I didn't hear about Joseph Parker losing his father. He sniffed that shit a half a day before the fight. Facts. He had to. Tony Lyons, facts. Because there's no way you can convince me, man, if you tested positive for cocaine, that meant you had to be doing cocaine. Look, it's either two, you either have two scenarios. You either did coke, did a little bit or whatever, and then 2 days later you get in the ring and fought, and then, you know, that shit, whatever happened, the outcome of that. And then it was still in your system. Or he did a lot of fucking coke. A lot of coke. And because he did a lot of coke, it was still in the system. You know what I mean? So either he partied one of those days hard or he was dipping and dabbing. And I don't know, man. I don't know. Because, again, these are boxers. We know Tyson Fury does the shit. That's why I believe Tyson Fury himself is a guy. That's why he did that. Think about it. Tyson Fury gets drunk one day, work out another day, gets high another day, chill out and eat another day, eat 40 pounds of food because he ain't probably been eating them 4 or 5 days. And then he'll come back talking about, I want to get back into the ring and I'm calling Frank. You know what I'm saying? That sounds like a cokehead bullshit. You know what I mean? I grew up in Miami mostly, Miami and Louisiana. So I know the trend. So you can't tell me, oh, well, hey, I want to go back to the sport. No. He's doing that. He lives that life because of his lifestyle. Parker, on the other hand, is a guy that, you think about it. When was his last fight before Wardley? It was Bacali. Bacali was a long time ago. He fought Bacali in what, February? So he fought Bacali in February, and then he fought again in October. That's a long time. That's 8 months. You can do a lot of fucking up in that. 90% of rich people do coke. Yeah. Hit the like button, everyone. Nikki Blue Eyes Austin, counterpunch to you. You being in the medical field, you can give us some insight on that too. Is that Telk Hines Sports Media? What's up, brother? Counterpunch to you. Fury probably got Parker on the bag, but I don't think he's seen Fury in a minute. So Parker, to get himself or be around others, says to me that he likes to sniff and party. You know, something tells me he likes to probably do that shit, you know, probably in secret. He's probably a closet dude if that's the case. Now, mind you, people, we talking about this shit about Parker. We ain't heard anything from Parker. We haven't heard him give a statement. We haven't heard anything about it. I would like to see what the statement is. So that's going to be the next news concerning, from me, Joseph Parker. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to rag on anyone that hasn't spoke up from themselves. But if he stays quiet, it's going to make him look more guilty. Facts. Okay. We don't have enough evidence. You know, is it a masking agent or just you? No. The hell no. Bill, coke is coke. You don't mask fucking, you don't, hey, let me take some TRT and then do some coke. No. Hell no. Because they're testing for everything. These tests for blood and urine. It's a reason why they're testing for blood and urine, so they can get, they do more than one test. So probably the blood is for the banned substance, and then the urine is for the performance enhancing drugs, or vice versa. Okay, keep in mind, Parker getting caught and testing positive for cocaine before a party. Yeah, that's wild. But you know what though? If Tyson Fury was involved, I'm gonna just be real with you. If Tyson Fury was involved with Joseph Parker doing drugs he ain't a real friend to him. He ain't. Because, I mean, he didn't look that disappointed when they stopped the fight on him. His daddy bet against him. Think about it, people. Put this shit together. This is boxing, man. This ain't, this is one of the crookedest sports in the world, especially when you have guys like Tyson Fury lurking. Bro, if he got Joseph Parker on coke, for one, he's a bad influence. Well, that could be a lot of people, you're around someone that drinks and shit, because I drink, occasionally, but it's like, if I get someone that normally don't drink to drink and now they're all fucked up, I'd have to feel a certain type of way. However, you got a man doing coke. You got Joseph Parker on that nose candy, that booger sugar. You got him doing that shit knowing he has a fight. You know what I mean? And I think maybe if he was around him recently and if he popped up, hey, I got a little something for you. Don't take it there, Parker. Don't take it, Joe. Take it to the face. It's good. It's good. It's uncut. I swear it is. It's uncut. I know. And you're like, damn, if he did that, and you're like, bro, that might have been, to me, a setup. Might have been a setup. Because if you giving this man coke knowing, bro, don't you understand, and him being a boxer should know more than anybody else, he was the one that did coke, that didn't test. He tested positive for coke. I just don't think UCAD busted Tyson. UCAD busted Tyson for coke because he was too high. He was doing too much of it. Now his honorary gypsy brother tests positive. So that's the only link, because there's nobody that you really know that Parker hangs around, that we know that Parker hangs around, that messes around with that stuff. But it's sad though. Like, you get to the point where you are one fight away from fighting Usyk for the undisputed heavyweight champion of the chip of the world. And see, here's the deal, people. What we need to understand is, even if Parker would have beat Fabio, even if the ref wouldn't have came in and did his shenanigans, right, and Parker would have won, he would have lost. Because he would have been stripped, right, because of the cocaine. So, yeah, we're waiting for the B sample right now. His career tarnished now. Yeah, because see, now, you don't know if that was a reason for him doing what he did. You guys remember, even you guys know that's been rocking with me for a few years. We all seen Tyson Fury was beside his brother Shane. If you guys remember, when they were watching Joe Joyce versus Joseph Parker. If you guys remember that, though, Tyson Fury and Shane, they disappeared for a long time. And remember that. I'm paraphrasing and, I'm ad-libbing and shit, because I'm like, look at Tyson Fury went to go get some coke and do some blow in the bathroom and then come back, have a few drinks, and sounding all raspy. But the funny thing was, what happened after Joe Joyce knocked out Joseph Parker, right? Tyson Fury came in the ring all Monday is the deadline. You remember that? And that actually is one of my intros, right? And that tells you that, yeah, those dudes, man, those dudes are wild. Daniel Kinahan. Come on, man. Think about what I'm saying. Daniel Kinahan. Yeah. The run he was on is damaged. Yeah, because he got busted. Busted. I can't say busted. He tested positive. He popped. There is nothing else. There is nothing else that would register for that type of chemical but that. You know what I mean? It's its own, it's a long word that tested, you know what I mean? Yeah, that's what it is. And that being said, I remember listening to David Benavidez, and he was like, I was hanging around the wrong crowd, but this isn't a Keyshawn Davis situation. See, weed, it wouldn't be as bad because weed is actually a depressant. cocaine. Also, for you guys that don't know, what cocaine is supposed to be used for is a numbing agent. Is a numbing agent. You know, he beat a dude with no camp. A dude who was over the hill before that, and got a gift decision where he got dropped twice before that. Hi, Turkey Bro, sir. I am Black Boss. Okay, cut that out. All right. I want to see what Joseph Parker has to say, man. I want to see what he has to say. I want to see him. We need an explanation from Joseph because shit, dude, you pop for cocaine. You know what I mean? And a guy like Joseph Parker, I haven't even really noticed him to be a big drinker though. So where the hell did you go? You went all from weed to alcohol. You went straight over to coke. That's kind of hard to, it's kind of makes you wonder, man. The dealer said that they had what now for Andy Lee? I don't know. Somebody has to make a statement, if it's Andy or if it's Joseph, because he's the head trainer. Andy Lee is the head trainer of Joseph Parker. Andy Lee is the first cousin of Tyson Fury. You see what I mean? So somebody has to give us something. Somebody has to give us some insight on what's going on in this situation. He took them Bacali punches like it was nothing, even against Zhang. I can't say he didn't take the Zhang punches like it was nothing because his ass was on the ground twice, so I don't really buy that. No. A numbing agent made with patrol in the woods of South America. Yeah. That's exactly what it is. And you can't tell me that doesn't give you an edge. Matter of fact, I just heard a friend of mine, he was telling me about his brother. Shout out to Polo. And he said his brother is a cokehead. And he got his brother a job at a FedEx because he used to have a fleet of trucks. And he made really good money. And his mom begged him to hire his brother because his brother needed a job. But his brother was a cokehead. Not a crackhead, but a cokehead, right? And his brother sabotaged, set up for one of the trucks to be robbed. So when they found out about it, the cops, investigated that, the lock, it was a special made lock that only the driver could take off of those FedEx trucks. And it was blown, so it was him. Well, he went to hit his brother because he found out that his brother ripped him off. His brother's all coked up. He hit his brother as hard as he could. His brother didn't fucking budge. And his brother grabbed him and was like, I'm not going to fight you. But he could not get out of that coke death lock. This dude was on coke. Drug is anything that makes your mind and body work differently. Affects the way your mind and body works. Shout out to Officer Friendly. He came to our school when we were kids and told us all about drug use. Right? And it just lets you know, it's like, well, damn, he must have been on some strong shit. He was like, yeah, he was coked up. So if Joseph Parker, saying all that to say this, using that as an example of a guy, he hit his brother as hard as he could. And his brother didn't budge. His brother just bowed, just looked at him. And the crazy thing is, Polo's not a small dude. He ain't a huge dude, but he ain't a small dude either. And look, in-game final boss Lukamura. Coke gives you a higher pain tolerance. That's how Parker was able to take so much punishment. Well, man, if Parker tests positive for the B sample, which that's more than likely what will happen. But if the B sample comes back different than the A sample, that means somebody sabotaged his shit. I don't want to believe Joseph Parker's a cokehead. I don't want to believe that he was dealing with coke. I don't want to believe it. But I mean, you know, they say computers never lie, right? But if one comes back negative and the A sample is cocaine, somebody put that shit in his test. And if somebody put it in his test, you got to wonder who the fuck did that. So it might get a little deeper. You know what I mean? Because I mean, this is boxing, bro. Shit happens in boxing like this. You know what I mean? Let's put a little coke in his shit. I want to hear what Joseph has to say again. He's done. Yeah, I mean, bro, for boxing, you know, it's bad because, you know, they didn't want Joseph there anyway. Joseph was a pawn in this game until that pawn decided to become a rook. And, you know, rooks, they take knights. And knights, if you play chess, right? So, yeah, he became something that he didn't supposed to be. Joseph Parker was a good opponent for Deontay Wilder to knock out. It just didn't happen. Right? Then, and that was based on the fact of what? Joseph Parker was stopped by Joe Joyce. Joe Joyce hits nothing like Deontay Wilder supposedly supposed to fight or punch or hit like, right? So his punching power is supposed to, the minute he lands on Joseph Parker's supposed to be mincemeat. Based on the punishment that he took from Joe Joyce, he's supposed to be laid out on the canvas like Spilka was. Like Luis Ortiz was. That was supposed to be the story of Joseph Parker. The only problem was it wasn't. Because everybody knew that the Days of Reckoning was set up like this. It was set up for AJ to fight Deontay. If they both won their last two fights, they would have fought next. The KO Chaos would have been Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder. It wasn't. Why? Because Francis Ngannou put a whooping on Tyson Fury, and then Deontay Wilder got whooped, upset by Joseph Parker. So by the next year, boom, they had to figure something else out because Deontay got his ass whooped. Simple. Joseph Parker, right, probably would have still fought Zhang, right? But it didn't really matter. He probably wouldn't even fought Zhang if he had got knocked out by Wilder. He probably would have been out anyway. They had to give that to Joseph Parker. He just kept winning. So they were like, okay, if Wilder can't knock you out, let's put him in there with big ass Zhang. We already seen what Joseph Parker did against Zhang. Zhang destroyed Joseph Parker. I mean, Joe Joyce. Then Joe Joyce already destroyed Joseph Parker. So guess what? Zhang supposed to make Joseph Parker mincemeat within 3 rounds. Didn't happen though. You see what I'm saying? That didn't happen. I'm like, fuck. What else are we going to do with this dude? You got to put him in another fight. But guess what? It was almost like he was on punishment because they didn't give him another fight for the rest of the year in 2024 because he fought once in 2024. Hold on a second. Shit. Unless Fury sabotage, but that's a stretch, isn't it? Yeah. I would hate for Tyson to be that type of person. If he did that to Joseph Parker, how would you prove it? How would you prove that? You know, my heart really goes out to Joseph Parker. Either way, and I'm gonna tell you why. For one, if this man's doing coke, you're like, damn, who knew? Who knew this dude was on cocaine? Bro, you was bumping. You were tooting. You was tooting. Imagine Joseph Parker. You know, oh yeah. Good fight, guys. Yeah, we're gonna do it again. We're gonna do it again. Yeah, we're gonna do it again. We're gonna do it again. We're gonna do it again. Yeah. All right, close the door. Close the door. Yeah. I'll see you tomorrow. Yeah, close the door. Oh. You know what I mean? Because he has to be one of them dudes that you and know who would know about that. Damn Bumpy Parker. Bill knows boxing. Mike, Mike and Roy Jones Jr. talking about Parker. Uh-oh, here we go, guys. Here we go. uh, well, new news is me, Roy Jones Jr., all Double J, and Mike Tyson, Iron Mike. We just found out today that Joseph Parker tested positive for cocaine now. Me personally, the only thing that that's been my drug has been pussy. Because women is my drug. I don't need all that other stuff. I just need to put, lights out, dick in, lights out, dick in. I don't need all that extra whatever. I don't need weed. I don't need coke. I don't need meth. I don't need none of that. I just need breasts and I need cat. That's what I need. I don't need none of all that other stuff. That will get me going. So, that's why I got a bunch of babies. But all that's all it is. Mike, I don't know. Maybe I hope he can get some help. He needs some help because everybody needs some help sometime. I had to go because I had a sex addiction. But other than that, some people get on that stuff, to get on the white horse, they call it, and, Mike, what you think about it?
Well, I think that, I think people go through stages in life, and I think everybody was against Joseph Parker, and Joseph Parker just needed to take the edge off, and, maybe he doesn't have that, he has a bunch of kids at home, and maybe he doesn't have time to unwind. And when I got higher than a motherfucker, because that's what I did. It was all in the 80s, in the 90s. You had Pablo, and then you had these guys, and then they were coming in, and they had mountains and piles of this stuff, and we were getting high, me and Bobby, and we were slamming chicks, and it was exuberant. But I feel sorry for Joseph Parker, but that's what happens when you're in the lifestyle and you get introduced to a lot of things and a lot of fuckery. Because at the end of the day, I think that Joseph Parker was under a lot of pressure, and I think he needed to take a little coke to edge him out. Maybe he just needs to, just take it easy a little bit. But I don't understand. He needed to get a plastic dick because he needed to get the pee that he needed. But if they couldn't get blood and urine, I don't know. I know I did a lot of this shit. I never got caught. So maybe the people he hung around didn't protect him, because I would have been protected if I was doing this shit, because I know I was doing it the whole time.
Oh, Kurt. Let Kurt answer if you don't or did you if you did or didn't. Let's see. Eubank 159.1. Ben 159.3. Whoa. Whoa. Chris is going to beat Conor Ben. And I'm going to tell you why. Conor has never fought that heavy. Someone that short. Two things will happen, though. Hold on. Let me give Conor some respect. Let me give him the benefit of the doubt. Let me say that. Either his punches are going to be harder because he's heavier, or he's going to be slower, or both. Because a lot of things that can happen. Fury could look at you and you would pop for Escobar. Those posts don't exist because I didn't talk about it. It was irrelevant to what we were discussing at the time. I never claimed to talk about it before I knew. Parker got that Pure Monday packet. Kurt, stop it too. That's too funny. I'm trying to eat my food. Ben has the worst footwork. Well, it may give him punching power, maybe. It may slow him down. It may affect his stamina. All I know is the Conor Ben that fought Chris Eubank Jr. last time was not 159 pounds. He was 156 and some change. So he's probably about 3 pounds heavier. You may think 3 pounds ain't shit. Okay, Fine. How about let's go running and we'll run a mile. Then we finish that mile, complete that mile. Then we put a backpack on with 3 pounds in it. And then let's go run that same mile and see if you feel the same way. You know what I mean? That's how it is. 3 pounds means a lot in rounds 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. If you know anything about fighting, if you know anything about boxing, if you know anything about sparring in general, you know everything is a factor. Okay? And 3 pounds is a factor, especially when you know you're not a middleweight. I thought they were smart enough to not make that weight unless he had to come within that boundary, because of the last time he was only 156 pounds and some change and some decimal points, right? Wesley Gamble, what's up, brother? It's been a while. You ever get that neck and shoulder checked out? Nah, man, it's still bothering me. That shit still, I'm going to. I know where to go. I just can't go there right now because I got to work. Because it's nowhere close. I know where to go. 147 is going to be a stretch for Ben after this. Well, that, the same thing happened to Carol Brook. Remember, Carol Brook did that shit. He went to 160 to fight Triple G and got beat up. Got his face broke. Then fought Errol Spence. Got his face more broke. You know what I mean? So, yeah. But other than that, though, I mean, them cats getting paid, they get paid. It's all an investment, and it's all concerning two people in the ring. Boxing is one of the biggest hustles for the outside person that's not taking punches. In one of the best hustles. The promoter, the manager, the camp. The only problem is everyone takes a pie. Everyone takes a piece, the government, because they see, oh shit, this guy's getting paid how much money? The government wants that. They're doing this shit. I hate taxes, man. You guys know I hate paying taxes. I hate taxes. I pay them, but I hate to pay them because I don't see the relevance of them. Do you make homeless people to pay fucking taxes? No. Leeches, bro. You get older, you move up in weight. Yeah, he's 29 years old, but wouldn't that fight this year? So we get 2 fights. We get 2 fights, right? I knew Parker was a coke user just by looking at his nose. I don't know, man. No, I don't. No. No, I mean, I don't know about any of that because I can't tell that, so I don't think I never looked at Joseph Parker and thought that. So maybe, now we're going to be looking at Joseph Parker. And then we're going to be like, you know what, the fuck, By looking at his nose, what do you mean? But I don't know, bro. I don't know. That's kind of dumb. But because, one thing about your nose, your ears, your nose, your ears, and definitely ain't your cock, they get bigger over time. You know what I mean? They never stop growing. Your ears never stop growing. Your nose never stops growing. So I don't know. Greetings from South Wales, DJ Anton in the building. What's up, my brother? Counterpunch to you. So, yeah, they never stop growing. So, I don't know how you could look at someone's nose and tell, I don't know. But, yeah, I'm totally bewildered that Joseph Parker tested positive for this shit. It's just... It says coke sniffers have a collapsed bridge. What does that mean? I don't know what that means. What does that mean? Parker of all people. Of all people, Parker. Hell, I would think that, hell, I would look at Andy Ruiz snorting coke than Joseph Parker. And then Joseph is like, he's bigger now. He's huskier. Oh, shit. That shit's crazy, man. I don't know. I'm not trying to believe this shit. You know what I mean? I'm still justice for Joseph. Unless he just comes out and says, hey, man, I have a problem. And here's the thing. If he comes out and says, bro, I have a problem. I had a problem for a while. Hanging around motherfuckers like Tyson Fury and Kenahan and people like that didn't help me, but I have a problem. I would respect that. People would fuck with him. People would give him shit, but so what? You know what I mean? You have to know that everyone goes through shit. And if he's honest enough, during the point of exposure to say, hey, the gig's up, I'm on drugs, I had problems, obviously, I couldn't stop. Because if he's on drugs, that means that he couldn't stop doing it mentally to get popped doing in his system. That means you couldn't stay away from it long enough to fight. Because I don't think he may just have an addiction. Because look at it. If the shit stays in your body for how long? Wait, let's see. Let me look it up. Okay, it stays in you. Okay, blood and saliva for up to 2 days, 48 hours. So that meant you couldn't go 2 days without it. It says 96, urine for up to 4 days. So either 4 or 2 days. So you couldn't stop doing that for 4 days, knowing you had the biggest fight before the biggest fight in your career. You got a problem. He has to have some type of issue, substance abuse issue. And I like Parker. I still like him. You know what I mean? But in that case, I think he needs to just, surrender to honesty and say, hey, I got a problem. It'll take him a while to get back, because if he does that, it's going to be like that. You guys ever seen that movie Flight with Denzel? It'll be like that. Yeah, I drank the vodka. I'm high. I'm high right now. I'm drunk right now. 13th, 14th, 15th, I was high. I was intoxicated. Yes, I drank. I drank in excess. I'm high right now. I'm drunk right now, right? Yeah, he'll get a 2-year ban, so you won't see Parker. Parker will be done, because, that added weight, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I didn't like that shit anyway. You added 20 some odd pounds to something that wasn't broken, to a frame that didn't need. Joseph Parker wasn't skinny. He's Samoan. What the hell? And what's going to happen now? People are going to, that's been around Parker, they're going to step back. Ruiz snorts cheeseburgers. Ruiz smokes weed. His wife, it's just people didn't care about that. They seen IVs and they seen weed. Next live fight is tomorrow, bro. Next live fight is tomorrow between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn, part 2. Then, yeah, I will be live for it. Absolutely. I'll be live for it. But I feel bad for Parker, because if that's the case, it makes you. But also, I remember, shout out to my homeboy Animal. What's it, 2025? 15 years ago. Right? 15 years ago. I worked at Lowe's, the furniture hardware place, Lowe's. I worked at Lowe's. I don't know if you guys know what Lowe's is. It's like Home Depot, lumber and shit like that. And I had a homeboy named Animal, and Animal smoked a lot of weed. And I was like, At the time, I didn't smoke weed. I stopped smoking weed about 4 years ago. Yeah, back in like 2021. And I used to talk to him. I'm like, dude, because he always smelled like weed. And one thing about weed kind of smells good, but like on clothes, I hate the smell of it. I hate the smell of weed on clothes. But Animal was walking through there, and he was just like, man, there's different types of weed. Weed's therapeutic. It's this and that and the other. And I'm like, well, he's like, dude, well, what the fuck? He said, you know, it's weed is a lot better than drugs like coke, because coke is like one of those drugs that people do and they're hooked forever. And when he said that, and I was 30 years old at that time, it scared the shit out of me. You know what I mean? Like, damn, like, yeah, you get your body, your brain is rewired when you do coke. It can rewire itself and it's never the same and you're forever addicted. Why do you think you got people around here in facilities and rehab places that are never the same? And that just stuck with me. When we're sitting there in the lumber department in 2010 in Bossier City, Louisiana, and he's just like, dude, he was like, dude, I smoke weed. I can stop fucking smoking weed. Motherfuckers do coke. Let them try to stop and see what happens to them. They don't even think right no more. I'm like, damn. And he's just like, yeah, man. And, fuck that. I'm going to stay smoking, motherfucker. And he was always a thing about zombies. He always had because we had a Walmart right next to us. A little backstory. Walmart next to us, right next door to us. And he was like, dude, between fucking Walmart, they got the guns and we got the hardware over here. We can shut this bitch down if the zombie apocalypse comes, dude. Motherfucker, we'll live. Hang out with me, dude. We'll live. Needless to say about Animal, his wife was fucking his best friend and he found out and he beat his friend in the head with a brick. He didn't kill him, but he found out about it. We all knew. That was a crazy thing. We all knew about it because, we were out one day and then like his wife was holding hands. He was in the middle with the best friend on the other side. Dirtbag shit. But anyway, backstory, man. I got some crazy fucking stories, but that just stuck with me concerning what we're talking about. Saying all that to say this. The shit's dangerous and it's powerful. Okay. And if Parker's on that shit being an athlete, imagine someone in shape doing something like that. And if he gets a dependency to think he needs it, like something personal about me. I used to drink a lot. Well, when I was younger, I used to think that I had to be intoxicated to slam good, to sexually perform good. So a chick will call, I gotta be drinking because I'm like, oh man, she bad. Let me go ahead and get this half a bottle of Jack in me so I can go over there and lay the business down. Facts. I used to think, or because I went from vodka to never was a tequila guy, but vodka, whiskey was a big one. And I used to just think, I used to drink a lot of beer too, but I used to think I had to have a certain amount. Like, man, I get about 3-4 beers in me, maybe a shot. I'm going to go over there and knock it out. Right. And I thought that like most of my 20s, I thought that. And, in my 30s, I kind of cleaned up a bit. I still drank, but you know what I mean? Yeah, bro, you do fuck better when you're drunk. Because you last longer, you don't do the ooh. You know what I mean? So the fear of performance anxiety. So a lot of that was linked to sex and for me personally. So give you a personal, like nobody's fucking perfect. I remember we had a subscriber on here saying he was going through some shit, and I was like, bro, you just got to take one day at a time and duplicate that day. He may be on here. But for Parker, man, if he has that type of problem, he may feel that he has to do that to perform a certain way because you remember the way he talked. The way he talked was like, I'm in the best shape of my life. I never heard him say that. So hopefully if he's doing coke he might have just started doing coke. You know what I mean? And if he just started doing coke, he hasn't built a dependency. But then again, the motherfucker's rich, so who knows? You know what I mean? Because it's like, how much did you do? Because again, if he tested positive for cocaine, he might have done it 3 weeks ago. But how much of it did you do, motherfucker? You had to do what? What did you have to do? You know what I mean? You had to do a lot of this shit for it to still be there. Because it says here, however, if you are an habitual user, it can last up to 2 weeks. So just keep that in mind. No, he's been doing coke since he became pro. Damn. Hope not. You know, but here's the problem. We don't know that. How can he prove that he hadn't done that? Just like Jarrell Miller. Jarrell Miller was a 300-pound motherfucker that threw 60 punches around. You know what I mean? It's hard. Then he gets popped for 3 different things. So it's hard for him to justify or prove he wasn't doing this shit. All those other fights that he was undefeated, that he was throwing 60 punches around, 50, 60 punches around, which is a lot for a big motherfucker like Jarrell. You see what I mean? At this stage of life and career, you just, wait, hold on. You just don't turn into it now. He's probably been using it for a while. Well, if I had to guess, I want to throw the shit on Tyson because it makes more sense. Tyson was involved in that. However, though, hold on. Let's play devil's advocate. Doesn't mean that Joseph Parker wasn't involved in the shit. You know, I got island peeps in Guam and places like that, and then they're saying coke is over there now. I just heard that a few weeks ago. Coke's in Guam now. Fucking Guam, little Micronesian island in the South Pacific. Coke is there. I'm like, what the hell? You know, you used to have to worry about like beetle nut and stuff like that, and that was natural coming off trees. But Joseph Parker he could be like a Whitney Houston. Like, what do you mean? Well, everybody thought Bobby Brown introduced Whitney Houston to cocaine, which it finds out that Whitney Houston was doing coke before she met Bobby. In fact, because, you know, Whitney had way more money than Bobby. Bobby wasn't a broke dude, but he was a part of a group. And everybody thought that Bobby Brown introduced that drug to Whitney. No, Whitney was already on that drug. So that could have been Joseph Parker. And maybe because Tyson Fury did that drug too, why do you think birds of a feather flock together? Oh, I do that too. Oh, you do coke for Ty Joe. You're going to be my best friend, mate. Come on, let's go in the closet. Let's go in the bathroom right now. Come on, let's go. Come on, hey, he does it. He plays in the snow. Joseph, he plays in the snow. He plays in the snow. Honorary coke brother. Put your nose in it. Right? Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good stuff. Yeah, don't you like it? Don't you like it, Joseph Parker? Yeah. CJ sent 1 Counterpunch Boxing gift membership. Appreciate you, brother. CJ in the building. They start getting chest pains. It could be the end like Carlin. Yeah. Oh. Hey, what's wrong? What's wrong? We going to call 911? No, goddammit. Call my doctor. All right. Tyson Fury hugged him. That's now how he tested positive. Yeah, put it there. Observed skin to skin. Shit was oozing out of his skin. Hey, they can't do anything about it simply because, you know, Tyson's retired. See, you can't test a retired fighter. Why do you think he retires so much? Bro, that just blows me away. That just blows me away, man. It blows me away. I missed it. He's an addict? No, I don't think so. I mean, he may be. And I think out of all boxers, that surprised me. Well, it will be those people that you never thought. I mean, you know what though? Um, I think that Joseph Parker hanging around Tyson Fury, you know, because you think about it. I mean, he's, if anything, that shit, to someone like that, to give a drug to someone in shape like that, yeah. Now it makes all the sense in the world, and it really messes up his reputation because it's like, hey, I don't know. Parker needs to look at the people around him. Yeah, he does, but he needs to look in the mirror. You can look at the people around you all day long, but shit, bro, if you're doing coke, you have to look in the mirror and ask yourself why you're doing coke. So, what's going on with him? No, I didn't hear about his father. I didn't know that his father passed away. I didn't know that his father passed away. Andy Lee needs to fire someone somewhere. Hell, he needs to fire his cousin. Shit, probably. Because even if he does, even if Tyson Fury and Joseph Parker, if they were in Vegas doing coke, and then if you really think about it, they're probably doing coke because coke is easier to filter out. You don't stay in your body long like weed does. Weed stays in your body for fucking a while. 30 days, they say. Crazy, man. Andy Lee did it probably too. Andy was probably, because he's retired. He ain't nobody testing Andy. So yeah, he may be doing it with him. They're talking about throwing punches and shit. Yeah, you just, you get the left hook in, you get the leverage. Yeah, you get the leverage in, Joseph Walker. You gotta get lunging. You gotta lunging left hook, so you gotta lunge into it. It's kind of like Klitschko, but Klitschko's a docile, isn't it? Especially if you had bad metabolism, weed will stay in longer. Yeah. You know something though? If Parker would have tested positive for marijuana, that would have made more sense. Why? Because he got bigger. What cokeheads get bigger? You know what I mean? Like, that's supposed to suppress your appetite, right? So it doesn't go with the story of how he got bigger. If he was a weed head, Joseph Parker got tested positive for weed. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Weed makes you want to eat. I know that. You know what I mean? Bro, when I was a teenager, first time I got high off of weed I was 15. And I probably smoked it for a couple years in my teens. I stopped. Well, yeah. But I used to get blazed and then go to Brickshire's and get this like Viennetta chocolate bar, bro. And it was ice cream bar. And I used to go home like taking it like, you know what I mean? Get some McDonald's with the Big Mac with the styrofoam back then, bro. Had the styrofoam back then. So the burger was all soft and warm because the styrofoam kept it warm, and the fries were off the chain. But there used to be this place next door called Shortstop. They used to have these Cajun fries. So I said, bump those fries from McDonald's. I used to get the Cajun fries with the Big Mac and the cheese oozing over the meat. and the sesame seed buns. And then I would go to Brookshire's because all that shit was just right there. You had McDonald's, you had Shortstop, you had Brookshire's, which is a grocery store. And I used to get that for dessert and a Coca-Cola, right? So I used to love Coca-Cola. I'd take that shit home, be all take that shit home, pop in a movie or something, The Last Dragon or some kind of kung fu flick or whatever, shoot 'em up flick, and watch and eat that. Eat that Big Mac, eat those fries, and then I'll wait a while and then eat that fucking Viennetta. And I'll be out. Loved it. Beautiful time. I didn't need nobody around. You know what I mean? If I could just make it home. So yeah. So yeah, like actually weed's fun. Maybe he on the coke to keep weight down because he could be getting weight. He might, because he gained weight. Maybe he tried that to cut. You're right about that. He is a Samoan, dude. Island people, it's been documented and studied. Like, well, what people don't know about Hawaiians, Tongans, New Zealanders, Kiwis, before the U.S. military, American Samoa, places like that, before the American military came there, they were just actually stocky, big-boned, very cut-muscled people, very strong, very powerful. They ate mostly fish, rice, right? Vegetables. They didn't eat a lot of bullshit until the American military came there. When the American military came to the islands, and it was actually meant for a soldier, Spam, armored treat, right? I want to say corned beef hash, but I'm not sure because that was a product of Brazil. But they needed something that was going to supply, something that was small that they could carry, that could supply enough protein for a whole meal, but within one can. Okay, that's how they created Spam. Okay, it was this potted fucking meat, and it was bad for you, had a lot of salt, had a lot of preservatives in it, but they needed it for the calorie intake, because if you were out in the jungle or if you were out way out, they needed something that was going to fill their stomach. They needed an eraser for their stomach. Okay, that being said, they introduced it to the islanders, Hawaiians. That shit was like crack. That shit was like crack cocaine to the islands. Spam. They start mixing this shit with rice, and you know what I mean? They have a fucking island. Facts. They have an island set aside like a fucking Sam's warehouse full of Spam in case they run out of Spam. So when that was introduced, their diet got bad, and because their diet versus their metabolism and their genetic makeup, then they start getting fat. That's what happened. We never get out of how good Parker and Fury really were due to their addictions. It's bad though, man. I want to hear what Parker has to say. It's only right. We have to hear Parker out. We have to hear, did you take Coke, bro? Are you doing Coke? Did you experiment with Coke? Because it could have been he might have experimented with Coke, not knowing, yo, bro, this shit can still be in your system. And he didn't really know. You know what I mean? And if he was hanging around Tyson and Tyson bullshitted him and talked him into, I won't stay in your system. Don't worry, Joe. Take a couple of lines. Take a big one. Take the big one. Take the big one. Take the rail. We call them rails here. But if he knows and all that, that's on him. If he didn't know, he just made a mistake, and made one bad decision. If he's never taken cocaine before, we really have a big problem, because that means somebody sabotaged Joe Parker and made him, appear like he's a cokehead. So that's what we have, man. And I want to see what Parker has to say. That's still my boy. Parker's still my boy. I have to hear him out. And whatever it is, that's what it is. If he comes in, if he comes clean, that's what he is. That's what happens. So then we can have that discussion on the day that he comes out. But guys, love you guys. I will see you tomorrow for the live event for Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn. It's going to be lit, I believe. Until then, you guys have been counterpunched. Peace.